Welcome to r/entitled. Welcome to r/off my chest, where OP bangs his daughter's best friend. Our next Reddit post is from Affectionate T. My daughter has a very pretty 21-year-old friend. Before all this happened, I remembered thinking to myself, if I was younger, I'd totally date her. She's my type. Blonde, tall, cute face, kind, etc. She's always been very nice to me, but suddenly she actually started teasing me. She started calling me daddy over text. She said, "Your daughter is so lucky. I wish you were my daddy." She texted me at night to ask me a question. It was an excuse, of course. I replied to the question, but she kept the conversation going and said, "I'm in bed right now but can't sleep. Honestly, I totally want a hug." To keep it short, I couldn't keep it in my pants. I'm really not a horny dude drooling over young girls. My daughter has 7 to 8 close friends that I see regularly. She's the only one I find pretty because she really is pretty, and I simply couldn't resist. I'm divorced. I started seeing someone else 2 months ago, but I wouldn't call that cheating since we aren't clearly a couple yet. I'm just anxious because I wouldn't want my daughter to find out. Yesterday she suddenly said, "We need to talk," and it scared the hell out of me. Because every time I see her, I'm like, I hope she hasn't found out. I hope she hasn't found out. I hope she hasn't found out. OP, your daughter will find out. The only question now is how much damage it's gonna cause. Our next Reddit post is from No Pool. I'm a 30-year-old woman and I have a 15-year-old son. We'll call him Ollie, plus other children ages 2, 6, 9, and 11. As you can tell by my own age, I was a teen parent. I was lucky and we married at 18. We're still married with a healthy relationship, and we worked our way out of a very dire situation. We graduated and started a trade, and we're comfortable, stable in all ways. This information is relevant. Ollie's been friends with this girl, Bree, since she was 7 years old. Their family used to live in the same city as us and went to the same school, same friendship group. We know her parents and are long-distance friends ourselves. Not close friends, but say hello when the kids are on video chat. We've had drinks together before. Bree's family moved to a very small town 3 states away due to rental affordability, which is not a secret. We've all talked about the rising cost of everyday life. The cost of living in this city has risen, forcing many locals out. They moved because of that, and for better job opportunities 18 months ago. Since then, Ollie's been begging for us to follow, giving us a sales pitch on cheaper housing, better paying jobs, none of which fit either of our professions. The whole works. We've said no because, well, no. But even if we wanted to, our other kids are still in school, sports, and have friends here. Selling and buying another house, finding work outside of our skill set, or having to learn new skills, any normal adult would understand this. He does not. Well, fast forward to Christmas. Bree's family came back to our city for a holiday, and the kids met up multiple times with each other. It was my understanding that they were always with the other kids, but obviously not, since Bree is pregnant, and I'm certain that it was on purpose. My son had access to condoms. He's had sex education from me, my husband, and school. He knows damn well how babies are made and how not to have one. Ollie now wants me to move to be with her and the baby. It's confirmed. I've talked to her parents. And I said, no, I don't feel I need a reason, but he asked. You're 15. We don't have any proof it's your child yet. I'm not moving us away from our lives, and you aren't going alone until you're 18. We'll do a DNA test when we look at parenting plans, and topped it off with a too bad, so sad. You made your bed, now you have to sleep in it. He took that back to Bree, and now all communication between me and her parents has been cut, and I'm a terrible person. My comments about the DNA test are disgusting, and it's fueling my son's hate for me. He says that I'm keeping him from the love of his life and future baby using my own successful relationship as proof that it'll work out. I actually don't even care if I'm right or not. I'm just really upset and feel like my life that I worked really hard for has been destroyed. Man, OP has a super manipulative kid here. OP can't really give in, because if OP does, then this behavior is going to be rewarded. Then the kid's going to say, I need money for the baby, and just expect OP to pull through. Yeah, down in the comments, Booty Fubaka says pretty much what I was thinking. Reality is about to hit that kid like an effing train. Clearly, he's way too immature to have a kid, so I hope things work out for him, but realistically, it sounds like he ruined his and Bree's lives. Our next Reddit post is from Throwaway Fam Life. My wife Kelly and I have known each other for over 20 years and have been married for 18 years. We have 17-year-old twins, a boy and a girl, and I found out that they aren't mine 2 days ago. My kids got those ancestry tests for the family, and we found out that I am not their father. Kelly and I met each other as coworkers at a job right out of college. We both were very ambitious, so after working for a couple of years, we decided to start our own business. We fell in love, and a year after starting our business, we got married. A couple of months into the marriage, we had a massive fight over the direction we wanted to take our business in, and I left our home. She came to me a couple of weeks later and we compromised. We've been inseparable ever since. Kelly got pregnant around that time. We've been through thick and thin. Our business has been through several hardships, but we weathered them together. We were always there for each other. We could always depend on each other. I loved her so much. She was a part of me, and I couldn't even imagine a life without her. I trusted her absolutely, until this happened. Kelly's been crying and apologizing constantly. She told me that during the time that we had that fight at the start of our marriage, she got drunk one night and slept with a random guy, and that she hasn't cheated on me since. The betrayal has left me disoriented. I told Kelly I needed time to process this, and I'm currently staying at a hotel. I don't know what I'm even doing anymore. The last 2 days have been a blur. I feel like a zombie, completely unable to feel or process anything. I don't intend to abandon my kids. I might not be their father, but I'm still their dad, and I love them dearly. Right now, I'm sitting on my hotel bed, and I haven't eaten anything today. My thoughts are a mess, so I'm writing this down to help me process. Kelly's always been a great wife and an excellent business partner. I don't know if I'll be able to look at her the same again, or if I'll be the same person again. I don't know how to move forward. It's a shame how long it takes people to realize the truth, because the line, Kelly has always been a great wife, is just objectively false. She cheated, unless you want to go with Ross's "we were on a break" line, and even if they were on a break, she at least would have had an idea that the kids weren't his and never told him. But she was perfectly content keeping that lie for 17 years. That doesn't make her a good wife, that makes her a terrible person. Our next Reddit post is from Deleted. When I was in university, I made enough money to buy an apartment by letting a rich Indian student give me oral. Thank God I found this place. It's been eating me alive for the longest time. There were only 2 girls in my class, engineering. And for 5 years, we let an extremely rich Indian exchange student go down on us. He was rarely interested in anything else, and his only condition was to have us both at the same time lying next to each other, moaning softly. He was probably into light-skinned brown girls because he didn't want us to tan during summer break, and he was livid when my friends spent a weekend in Barcelona and it got a bit darker. We would get 2,000 euros per visit, and he would visit 3 to 5 times per week. Hold on. 2,000 euros times 2 people is 4K times 5 times a week. That's 20,000 euros per week. What is that per year? 20,000 euros per week times 52 weeks a year is €1,000,000. Almost exactly. It's 1,040K. If he wanted intercourse, he paid 10 times more. 20,000 euros? But we actually preferred it to just be the oral. When I graduated, I bought my apartment with a sea view and 0 mortgage. My husband is so proud of me for being so young and having my life in order with a great job in place. I wonder what he would feel if I told him I paid in orgasms. That's a 1 followed by a lot of zeros. No, that's a 1 followed by a lot of O's. I can smell when people are sick, and it's driving me insane. I'm not sure if this is my special gift, but it's actually disgusting. For as long as I can remember, me and my sister have been able to tell when people are sick or are getting sick because we can literally smell you. I don't have to be in your face. You don't have to be the person sitting directly next to me, but I will smell it. I will tell you that you're getting sick, and then you'll text me a few days later and tell me I was right. I don't know how to explain the smell. The best way to describe it is a mixture of pine and a hint of garlic. It's not just your breath. Your pores literally radiate this smell. It's not limited to specific people either. I've told dozens and dozens of people this over the course of my life, and it's all the same smell. I guess it's helpful in a way because I can tell people in advance and maybe they can take some measures before they're riddled with a full-blown flu, but you guys stink. This reminds me of something I think of every single time I see any sort of popular media like a show or a movie with someone with enhanced senses. Like Wolverine from Marvel can apparently track people through scent. Or any of the vampires or werewolves you'd see in Vampire Diaries or True Blood or anything like that. If your sense of smell is really that acute that you can track humans, then that means you're just smelling people's stinky buttholes 24/7. Like really, what are the stinkiest parts of a person? Their butthole, their ball sack, and their armpits. And all these movies try to make vampires and werewolves seem all sexy with their enhanced senses, but really, to them, the world would just be a parade of stinky buttholes and ball sacks. Our next Reddit post is from Anxious Atmosphere. I applied for a job that I wasn't qualified for out of desperation. I'd been unemployed for 4 months, rent was due, and I was down to my last $300. The job posting was looking for someone with 2 to 3 years experience in a field that I had barely touched. I had no experience. So I Googled some terminology, watched a few crash courses, and walked into the interview like I belonged there. I threw around a few buzzwords I barely understood and smiled a lot. Somehow, it worked. They offered me the job the next day. Now, I've been working here for 3 weeks, and every day I feel like I'm walking on a tightrope. I have 20 tabs open at all times. ChatGPT, Reddit, Stack Overflow, YouTube tutorials, just to survive the day. What's crazy is no one has said anything. My manager compliments me. People come to me with questions. I'm scared they'll eventually realize I'm improvising everything. But at the same time, I'm learning fast. I've already automated part of my workflow. I fixed something yesterday that the team had been ignoring for months. I don't know if I'm still faking it or actually growing into it, but I've never been this motivated or scared in my life. OP, my wife used to work with this person who had way more experience at the job than my wife did. And you'd think, of course, that 30 years on the job would make this woman quite experienced. But this woman would come to my wife with questions about how to do her job. As in, the coworker would ask questions about the coworker's job to my wife when it's not my wife's job. My wife had a completely different job. They just worked in the same office. And so what my wife would do is just go to Google, type in the question verbatim, how do I do such and such, press enter, and then look at the top result and say, have you tried this? And the coworker would be like, oh, I see, I'll go try that. So what I'm trying to say is, coming into this job with zero experience might actually be more than what other people have, which appears to be negative experience, not even having experience of how to function as a human being in 2025, able to navigate Google and figure out basic problems. So you may actually be ahead of the curve here, OP. In fact, considering that OP is social, learns quickly, and is a great improviser, it seems like OP is a perfect match for the job, actually. Our next Reddit post is from Radio Throwaway. My life will never be the same after this. We've been married for 2 weeks. My 27-year-old husband has been sleeping with my little sister behind my back. She's 17, legal age of consent, but she's still a baby. We just found out she's 1 month pregnant, but she refused to say who the father is. Yesterday, my parents asked me to come over. Apparently, they installed a monitoring app on her phone, and that's how they found out that my husband is the father. My sister is saying she's sorry over and over again. My husband also apologized, saying he made a mistake and wants us to go to counseling and stay married. I didn't say much. I told him I'm filing for divorce. I'm not changing my mind. I know for sure I'll never speak to him again after everything's over. As for my sister, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Then, 1 day later, OP posted an update. The day I posted, they took my sister to the police. She admitted that the relationship with my husband began when she was 15. She also said that things became physical when she was 16. They had exchanged inappropriate messages and images, and the content on her phone matched everything she told them. My soon-to-be ex knew that she was pregnant. He was arrested at his job earlier today. Last night was the first time in a year that I went to bed and he wasn't there. It felt surreal. My dad, who's very religious, insists my sister keep the baby. My mom believes that my sister should have the choice to end the pregnancy. I've already contacted a lawyer for the annulment and emphasized that I want no more contact with my ex. There's nothing left to salvage. Even though my sister has apologized several times, she still believes she's in love with him. My family is planning to start family counseling soon. It'll be focused on figuring out how to move forward and what kind of relationship, if any, I want to have with my sister. There are no clear answers right now. Double betrayal by your partner and by your own flesh and blood sister. I hope, at minimum, this guy ends up in prison for grooming a 16-year-old. That was r/off my chest, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit episodes every single day. Heads up, I had a minor audio issue that's affecting about 7 videos, and this is one of them. Back to normal soon. Welcome to r/am I the butthole, where Reddit slowly convinces OP that she's being abused. This next post, I'm guessing, is highly controversial. It has Welcome to r.
Slow down, honey. Too fast, Trevor, too fast.
I know what I'm doing, Mom. And you...
Heads up, I had a minor audio issue that's affecting about 7 videos, and this is one of them. Back to normal soon. Welcome to r/am I the devil, where we learn why women should all just have dongs, to be honest with you. Our next Reddit post is from Matavan Wamabuli. It comes from the subreddit r/the10th dentist, which is like, you know those commercials where they say 9 out of 10 dentists recommend such and such. Well, the idea is this subreddit is for the 10th dentist, the guy who doesn't stick with the norm, who branches out and has a weird opinion. So we have a really weird opinion here, no doubt about it. The title of this one is something else. As a straight man, vaginas are badly optimized interfaces, and I would prefer them evolutionarily eradicated. Just for clarity, moving forward, I'm going to use the term lady parts because YouTube probably isn't going to like the B word too much. I'm a straight man. I love women. I'm not closeted. I'm not trolling. I'm just done pretending that lady bits are the sacred, sexy temples of divine femininity. They're not. They're a mess, both in design and function. If evolution had any sense of symmetry, women would have ended up with dongs and the world would be better for it. Aesthetically speaking, lady bits are chaos incarnate. They make hardly any sense. There's no standard layout, no symmetry, no visual logic, folds on folds, lips of random length, hidden bits, and inconsistent shapes. Compare that to the dong. Sleek, functional, symmetrical. Dude, what? Symmetrical. Every single dude has one ball that hangs lower than the other. Whether flaccid or hard, it has cohesive structure. Lady bits looks like they're trying to be secretive. The clitoris is great, so why is it buried? The main engine of female pleasure, the C word, is basically buried treasure with map prerequisite and terms and conditions, a wall of text you have to read and agree. You need, Jesus Christ, you need to spread folds, shift skin, and sometimes ask for directions. If women had dongs instead, like literally instead of the C word externalized, it makes so much more sense. Easy to find, easy to stimulate, easy to please. No more pretending like we all instinctively know that I'm looking at you, Helen. It would make mutual pleasure so much more straightforward and honest. If a woman wants intercourse with me, cool, but I shouldn't be needing a PhD in female anatomy to deliver whatever she's expecting me to deliver. Then, speaking of health, lady bits are a high-maintenance liability. I don't know why people keep pretending like lady bits are low effort. It's an internal organ exposed to the outside world. Constant discharge, blood, pH balance issues, yeast infections, bacterial vaginosis, UTIs from doing it too rough or wiping the wrong direction. It's like maintaining a biohazard you can't even fully see. I just wash my dong with soap. Done. If women had external parts like men, half of their medical aisle would be obsolete. Vaggies, that's his word, not mine. Vaggies are the reason intercourse is less satisfying than it should be. As a straight man, I want to love it, but it's unpredictable. Sometimes it's too tight. Sometimes there's no sensation. Sometimes the angle is wrong and it just hurts her. Meanwhile, if both partners had dongs, you get clear stimulation, shared mechanics, and direct communication. Intercourse would be more mutual instead of this asymmetrical guessing game where one person is always hoping they did enough. Society would function differently, and better at that, because a lot of toxic gender dynamics come from the invisibility of female desire. If women had visible arousal, like a literal bulge when turned on, people might actually take their sexuality seriously. No more "she's playing hard to get" games. No more stigma around women initiating. If she's hard, she's horny. Simple, equal, transparent. That alone would kill half of patriarchy's sexual double standards. Why shame? Women's clothes are designed around hiding a secret. Pads, tampons, panty liners are what it's called. They're all shame, silence. I just walk around without having to pretend that I'm shy of my anatomy. Imagine if women had external genitalia. Then there'd be no cultural obsession with tightness or virginity. No more locker room myths. Just genital equality out in the open. No more euphemisms, no more taboo, just body parts. In fact, even adult content would benefit. You ever notice how weird lady bits look in adult content unless the angle is just right? It's often just some weird, fleshy portal. And the camera's trying to find a way to make it look like anything other than what it is. So a small, feminine phallus would solve that. My final thought is, I'm not saying we scrap lady parts tomorrow. I'm saying if you remove emotion, social programming, and 200,000 years of conditioning, the lady part is a badly optimized interface. High maintenance, hard to navigate, and visually chaotic. The dong, despite its own advantages, is a superior design. And if women had it streamlined, sensitive, and functional, the world would be simpler, intercourse would be clearer, and culture would be more honest. This isn't about being gay, insecure, or onto other stuff. It's about seeing past the worship and calling out a flawed design when I see one. Yeah, ladies, what gives? Here's what I want to know, and I expect an answer from you in the comments. Why is it so close to the butthole? Huh? Explain that! Why would anyone put a sewage plant right next to an entertainment facility? Why would anyone put an amusement park right next to a sewage processing plant? And even worse than that, how about some originality? That body part's been pretty much unchanged for like 1,000,000 years. Boring! Snooze! Come on, they put out a new iPhone version every year. You can't at least come out with Bajongo version 2.0? Our next Reddit post comes from r/TrueOffMyChest. My fiance sided with my sister over me in a family argument, and it hurts. I'm a 24-year-old guy, and I'll call my fiance Katie a 24-year-old woman. Our relationship has basically been blown up because we had a huge argument after she said that my sister was right. Me and Katie have been together for almost 3 years. We've lived together for 10 months, and we got engaged almost 6 months ago. We've never had an argument like this, and now she won't even talk to me. This situation with my sister doesn't affect Katie or us together at all, so I don't know why this happened. I thought that it was a given that couples side with each other and stay out of arguments that the other person has with their own family. But Katie has full out sided with my sister. After me and Katie argued about her not backing me up, she went to stay with her cousin. This is a time I really need her because of what's going on with my sister, but she hasn't been there at all. I'm second guessing myself if I should even marry her now. I just needed to vent somewhere since my fiance has basically abandoned me. This entire situation hurts so much, and the crazy thing is, I still miss her. I have 2 sisters, Jamie who's 29 and Rose who's 28. My older sister, Jamie, is addicted to drugs. None of us know how it happened. Jamie went to university on a scholarship. She was going to be a doctor. But after her first year of university, she lost her scholarship and was expelled because of bad academic performance and other issues. She'd started using drugs sometime during her first year of university. She would have been 18 or 19 years old then. I'm not in denial about Jamie having a drug addiction. Despite us helping her go for rehabilitation several times, she hasn't stopped using drugs. Jamie has turned into a person that no one recognizes. She lies, she steals, she's violent, she's angry. Our family is desperate to help her. I've taken money from my savings to help pay for rehabilitation. My parents had to sell their house because of the costs. Other family members have helped. We just want Jamie to get better. My other sister, Rose, cut Jamie off when Jamie went back to using drugs after her first time in rehabilitation. They haven't spoken in years. Rose is an engineer. When she graduated from university, she got a ring. That ring is given to all new engineers when their career begins. Last year, Jamie stole Rose's ring, and that's what started all this. Jamie didn't find any other valuables, and she wasn't able to take Rose's car since it's not an automatic. We all begged Rose not to report Jamie to the police. I offered to buy her a new ring, and so did our parents. The ring isn't even valuable or costly at all. Rose opted to report it to the police, and they treated it as a burglary. Rose was also angry at our parents because Jamie had taken the spare key Rose had given them, and our parents never told her. The only things Jamie took were the ring and the key, but she was arrested for burglary and theft. Shortly after, the police recovered the ring that she sold. We were furious at Rose, but she said that Jamie deserved it. I couldn't imagine calling the police on family, and Jamie has stolen money and things from me before. Jamie was originally released leading up to her case in court, but she continued to use drugs. She lied to the police, and she assaulted 2 police officers. She committed other burglaries. If Jamie stole from strangers, my parents would deal with it privately, but the police intervened since Jamie was on release. She was taken back into custody until her trial. Rose took a contract job in the US for several months because she was so angry at Jamie and us. She came back in January, and now she testified at the trial and said things about Jamie that, in my mind, are unforgivable. My argument with Rose was over cops and saying Jamie was dead to her, among other things. It's because of Rose that Jamie was convicted of several charges and was sentenced to prison last week. I'm so angry at her, and so are my parents. The police never would have been paying attention to Jamie if it wasn't for Rose, and it never would have led to the other serious charges that Jamie got when she was on release. I've never been so angry in my life. My girlfriend Katie says that Rose is right about everything she said about Jamie, and that I should have called the cops about Jamie's theft or violence, and that she would have told me to call the cops if she had known about what Jamie had done to me. I can't imagine calling the police on family, no matter what they've done. I'll always do everything in my power to help Jamie. I'm afraid Jamie will get hurt while in prison. It wasn't a good situation the last time she was in there. She's not a fighter or a mean person. She doesn't belong there. Me and my parents and other family are going to phone her, write to her, and visit her as much as possible. But Katie is against that too. I'm not saying Jamie is perfect, but she's family. I'm angry at Rose, and I can't believe Katie sided with her over me. Just for a bit of context, the story with the engineer's ring is you're supposed to wear it on the pinky finger of whatever hand you use to write with, because engineers can literally kill people if they don't do their job right. Buildings fall, bridges collapse if their math is off. So the idea is every time you use your hand to write, you'll feel the ring press against the table that you're writing on to remind yourself you have to take your job seriously. Or at least that's what I've heard. I'm not an engineer myself. I'm guessing that most people are seeing OP as a kind-hearted enabler. Like, yeah, his heart's in the right place here, but ultimately he's not really helping the situation. He's just letting his drug-addicted sister get away with it, which of course leads to more drug use. And down in the comments, people are talking about another relatively famous story on Reddit that got a lot of upvotes, which shows the end result of OP's enabling, though these are all completely different characters. This comes from Zealous Ideal Zesty. My girlfriend and I have been together for a year and a half. I want to marry her. I was planning on proposing to her soon, but I've made a mistake. When we met, I didn't know that my girlfriend has a brother that she no longer speaks to. I found out that her brother has issues with drug use, and the last she knew, he'd been homeless and unemployed. This was shocking to me. I would never let any family member, especially a brother, be homeless. In my family, we help each other out no matter what. It wouldn't matter if someone uses drugs or even if they treat us badly. I was raised to always help your family, your blood, no matter what. It was shocking and appalling to me that my girlfriend didn't feel the same way. This caused arguments early in our relationship. However, I eventually let it go for now because I had an idea about helping her brother. 6 months ago, I, a 34-year-old man, began looking for my girlfriend's brother. I purposefully didn't tell her. She had told me that the last she knew was he was in Canberra. However, he wasn't there. I had to hire an investigator, and it took nearly 3 months for her brother to be located. I brought him here once he was located and told him I would help. I wanted to show my girlfriend, who's 31, that she was wrong. When I found her brother, I rented him a small flat and found him a job. I'd been working extra hours to afford the flat. Although my girlfriend and I shared expenses equally, we haven't combined our finances. I was able to rent the flat for him, and I helped him find employment and set up a bank account for him. I also encouraged him to stop using drugs and seek counseling. For his part, he told me he wanted to stop taking drugs and was grateful for me giving him a chance after his family gave up on him. I admit, I know that it was a mistake. He's been terminated from his job for theft of money and other items, and there's a police investigation. Moreover, he's committed bank fraud using the account that I opened for him, and has opened a credit card in my name without my knowledge. The police department is investigating him using and selling drugs out of the flat, and I'm under investigation because the flat and bank account are both in my name. There was also a potential overdose in the flat. I was advised to hire a lawyer because I'll likely be facing criminal charges even though I had no knowledge of her brother's actions. My girlfriend's brother is nowhere to be found now. My job is in jeopardy, and my girlfriend ended the relationship last week after she found everything out. We were together for 18 months and had lived together for 6 months. I wanted to propose and marry her. I now admit that she was right, and I was short-sighted in trying to help her brother. I realize I made a mistake, but she was so angry at me. I know that I deserved the anger, and I should have listened to her about his drug use and criminal record, and why no one in her family speaks to him. I don't even care about the other problems as much as her leaving. I don't know what he was doing. However, I've been pulled into it. I made a mistake, and I realized that my own family's way of always helping no matter what is wrong. I don't even know what to do now. This top comment. Imagine screwing up your life just so you could teach your girlfriend a lesson. This other commenter. Correction. Fail to teach your girlfriend a lesson. That was r/am I the devil. And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day. Welcome to r/Best of Redditor Updates, where OP's wife comes home with a mystery hickey that she claims is a bug bite. Our next Reddit post is from r/Marriage. I'm a 27-year-old guy, and I'm in a fight with my 28-year-old wife. We've had fights before, but not this bad. I'm at a loss on how to proceed. For context, we're college sweethearts married for almost 6 years. We have a 4-year-old daughter. Our relationship was never perfect or without challenges. We've faced some family opposition with cultural differences, but we've made it work. She's my first love and my best friend. My wife works in corporate. Her job has annual work retreats that last for about a week. This year was in Vegas. I usually arrange my work schedule to tag along with her, and we make our own trip out of it. We couldn't this year. Our daughter gets major anxiety traveling long distances. We're working on it, but she wasn't budging, and we decided to choose our battles. So I stayed behind and held down the fort at home. This change of plans was a bummer because that trip was part of us reconnecting as both a couple and as a family. My wife's work hours have taken a toll, and her work-life balance leaves much to be desired. We entertained the idea of skipping the retreat. Attendance is optional, but it's generally frowned upon if you don't, and my wife's making connections in her field. She grew increasingly weird. We have a system if either of us is away for extended periods. We keep in contact. For the first day or so, she was herself, but she grew distant. I would even text her about important stuff and be left on read while she claimed she never saw my text. Whenever we talked, she was rushing me or our daughter off the phone. There were all these times she wasn't involved in retreat activities. We were supposed to have a mini birthday celebration for our daughter over FaceTime. Our daughter was excited. It was something my wife promised her because the retreat overlapped her actual birthday. But my wife backed out because she had people up to her room after a seminar. It was like she wanted my permission to break her promise to our daughter. I told her I wasn't offering that, nor making her keep her word. She said I wasn't being fair, and this was a networking opportunity. They were business-oriented and wouldn't understand her stepping away for family time. I said her decision is her decision, but she'd have to explain it to our daughter. She promised that she would rain check the following day. Our daughter didn't understand and cried. My wife ended up hanging up and leaving me to comfort our daughter alone. The whole incident rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like it. She didn't keep her word with the rain check either. She was documenting the retreat on social media. One coworker, a 23-year-old guy, was in almost every picture or video attached to her hip. In one picture, he had his arm too comfortably around her, in my opinion. He's a recent hire in my wife's department. She was asked to oversee him. I do not like the guy. He doesn't know boundaries. Once, in response to a work assignment, he texted my wife that she's exactly the kind of woman he needs to keep him in check. My wife had brushed it off. She feels bad for him because he's not fitting in. She took him under her wing during his first retreat with the team. If I'd questioned, she'd say that she was tired or networking. There was always something. But I've seen her at these retreats. This wasn't like her. She was just off. The day before her return home, she complained about a bruise on her neck. She stressed that it was a bug bite. I didn't actually see the bruise until she came home. I instantly thought that it was a full-on hickey. She kinda brushed it off after making a big deal of it over the phone. I didn't push because our daughter was present. But when I was able to confront her, she clung to her bug bite claim. When I kept pushing, she asked what I was trying to imply. I outright said that I believed she had a hickey, and I didn't believe that she was being honest with me. We had it out then. She was offended and pissed at the accusation. Infidelity has always been a sore topic. Her family has a history of infidelity. So we had a pretty bad fight, and she accused me of looking to pick a fight due to the incident with our daughter's birthday. I told her it had nothing to do with that, and everything to do with the hickey on her neck. The fight ended in an impasse. We're still not recovered. She swears it's a bug bite, but I'm not convinced. I've always trusted my wife. I never doubted her, but this bruise doesn't look like a bug bite. It looks like a hickey. I only feel more strongly when I consider how distant and weird she was during the Vegas retreat. Now she's wearing turtlenecks ever since, and we're caught between arguing and her dousing our daughter and me with affection. Communication usually prevails for us, but not now. I think my accusation pushed us to a new level of argument. I'm at a loss here. I really need outside perspectives. How do I move forward? Have you guys ever gotten a bug bite that looks like a hickey? Because I know I haven't. Then, about 1 week later, OP posted an update. Things are a roller coaster. I'm trying to process. It took a while for my wife and me to have any real conversation about the bruise on her neck. I rarely saw the bruise because she was turtlenecked up, but I did notice the healing process from reddish purple to yellow. There wasn't any more discussion about the Vegas retreat. She made it clear that she was done talking about it, and she shouldn't need to defend herself to her husband. I told her she could do whatever she wanted, but I was done being treated like an idiot, and I wasn't sharing a bed with someone I couldn't trust. So I moved to the guest room. Communication stopped. The silences were palpable. Even our daughter noticed. I'm not proud of that. I tried keeping her out of fights. My wife came to the guest room one night and asked if we could talk. I could tell that she'd been crying. She said she hated the way things were between us. She felt like she was losing me either way. I told her I needed complete honesty. She confessed that she hooked up with that coworker on, oh my God, on our daughter's birthday. The hickey was from him. Yo, that's actually crazy. She was lost in the heat of the moment and didn't realize he was sucking so hard on her neck. By her account, they made out while doing some over-the-clothes stuff, and then he gave her oral. It stopped there because he called her by a nickname that I affectionately call her. It snapped her back to the reality of her actions. She went to splash water on her face and saw the hickey. The guy made light of it and made a joke about the hickey being her souvenir. She blew up on him and kicked him out of her suite. Part of the reason she was avoiding me was out of guilt. She said she's coming clean because she doesn't want to hide things anymore. I asked her why she cheated. What was it about this guy that she deemed worth risking everything? She claimed it wasn't him specifically, nor is she unhappy with our marriage. She doesn't really know how to explain it, but a part of her feels broken. The more she looks in the mirror, the more she sees her dad. A cycle of being consumed with work, becoming distant from her child, and the infidelity that he put her mom through. She said her family never talked about anything openly, and how when she was growing up, my mother-in-law never addressed anything with her. I said that her parents didn't make her cheat. She chose to party up with a guy who constantly disrespected our relationship. Those were all her decisions, and she at any point could have chosen our family. She agreed. She wants to blame her parents, but realizes this is on her. She apologized for cheating and for entertaining the guy's advances. She said that she'll do whatever it takes to repair. Go to HR, quit her job, counseling, anything. She wants to make everything right. I told her I don't know what right looks like, or if that's possible for us anymore. I knew we had our problems, but I thought there wasn't anything that we couldn't talk out. She insisted we could still talk it out. We didn't have to give up on us. She tried giving this rally cry for our relationship, but I felt very numb. I said I didn't recognize her. Not just the betrayal of our vows, but also how she treated our daughter. She's like a stranger. She feels she's failed as a wife and a mom, but she loves us both beyond words and wants our life together and our family intact. I told her I couldn't give her the answer she wanted and thought we needed to separate and reevaluate. She didn't want separation. She felt that we should stay together in our home, but I told her a separation was happening. Either she was leaving the home or I was with our daughter. She consented to leaving so as to best not uproot our daughter too much. She asked for our daughter not to be taken away from her. My wife is staying with my in-laws. I know that's difficult in itself because she doesn't have the best relationship with her parents. One of the hardest parts is the shift for our daughter. Right now, she believes her mom's just busy with her work per usual. She hadn't questioned it too much. My mother-in-law called the other day. She made no excuses for my wife, but she's advocating for us to work through it. She told me times when she heard my wife describe me as the anchor she always wanted. She believes there's something worth fighting for if I'm open. Despite some family opposition we faced throughout our relationship, my mother-in-law was always a supporter of us. I'm even more at a loss. I never imagined this kind of betrayal from my wife. She was my safe place. I feel numb, yet broken. I'm in love with her. That hasn't changed. But I don't see myself, her, our relationship, or our family the same. Everything's more tense because it's fresh. I think this period of separation is for the best. I'm not sure about divorce. I haven't let myself fully go there. I'm not set either way. I don't know where things go from here, but I'm focusing on our daughter and taking things one step at a time. I feel that's all I can do right now. What's so bad about this is we know this woman is a liar. She came in and tried to fight with OP over, no, it's just a butt fight. How dare you accuse me of cheating on you? So she lied to his face viciously. And we're supposed to believe that they just did some over-the-clothes light groping. No big deal. Just a little peck on the neck. I mean, you could hardly even notice it. And just a little bit of oral. Just a tiny bit, and it ended immediately. Nah, man, they went to Pound Town all night. Then she tries to blame OP for the accusations, and then blame her parents for this culture of cheating that I grew up in. Yeah, right. Like, any of these things are individually enough to break up a marriage, but to me, sleeping with another dude on your daughter's birthday while she's crying? Why won't mommy be with me on my birthday? Yo, that's unforgivable. You know, I guess ultimately it doesn't really matter what happened in that hotel room, because she's already just fundamentally betrayed her family in the worst way possible. So whether they just did oral or went at it 1,000 times that one day, I guess it's all the same thing. You know what? Actually, I just realized something. When I was reading the first part of the story, I thought it was odd that the wife called OP on the daughter's birthday and didn't do FaceTime to have their mini celebration. I was thinking to myself, why call and turn down the FaceTime? Why not just do the FaceTime, because it will take up the same amount of time? And now I realize the reason why she didn't want to do FaceTime is because she knew that if she saw her daughter's face, she would no longer have the willpower to, do the nasty with this coworker. So she protected herself. She protected her infidelity. She guarded her cheating heart against the one thing that could kill it, which was, her daughter, so that she could preserve that flame of lust and screw the dude. Oh my God, that makes it so much worse. Our next Reddit post comes from r/legal advice. I moved this month to Washington State, and my yard borders windows of the neighboring property. The neighbor's yard is on the other side of their house, so their kitchen and living room, plus one of their upstairs bathrooms. And from what I can best ascertain, the window to a study are pressed right against the dividing line property between the two yards, a small stone path. Along the edge of my property, we have 3 black walnut trees and 4 bushes. About a week after we moved in, the new neighbors approached us and said the previous tenants had promised to trim the trees because they blocked the view out of their windows. I called the previous owner, and he said he promised nothing of the sort, and half the reason he planted the bushes along the existing tree line was because the neighbors complained about his cookouts in the yard, making them feel as though they had to draw their curtains for privacy, which they didn't like. So the bushes were essentially a privacy hedge. The previous owner did just move into an assisted living for dementia patients though, so I'm waiting to get double confirmation from his daughter. We told the neighbor, a woman, sorry but no. Both because the trees provide nice shade, and without the bushes on the lower level, they'd be able to see directly into our house and vice versa. We went away for the weekend and found 5 large branches and a dozen smaller branches missing from our trees, exactly where their windows were blocked. The trees look hideous and diseased now because of these giant bald patches, and no longer provide privacy or adequate shade. One of our bushes was completely gone. 2 others crudely uprooted from the ground and unsalvageable. The neighbor said the black walnut trees had been there since he moved in 60 years ago, and the bushes had been there for 15 years. I figured I was screwed because we don't have security cameras or anything to prove they did this. But as a last-ditch attempt, I sent them an email asking if they knew what had gone on. To which this neighbor had the audacity to reply as though they'd done us a favor. Their exact words were, "Yes, we decided it was unfair for you to shoulder the burden of the previous property owner's unfinished business. So we went ahead and had a crew take care of it out of our own pocket this weekend. No need to thank us. Merry early Christmas." I'm irate, especially because I had bought my girlfriend a bench swing for one of the trees for Christmas, something she's always talked about having. The trees were not crossing their property line, and the bushes were solidly within our property as well. As aforementioned, there's a small dividing stone pathway between the 2 properties, but I also have a recent official survey done just before we moved in. Do I have any recourse even though they've contorted it to sound like it was a favor? Much appreciated. Oh, OP, you got plenty of recourse. Let's see if this goes the way I think it's going to go. Then, 19 days later, OP posted an update. I consulted 3 separate arborists officially, plus had an arborist friend check things over unofficially. The uprooted bushes were honey locusts, and the branches cut from my black walnut were valuable lumber. It was also determined that since the bushes and trees were acting as privacy barriers and no longer served that purpose, that I would require extra compensation to come up with the means of a new privacy barrier. It was initially going to be $2,300 for the missing honey locust, $1,600 for the first uprooted one, and $1,800 for the second. Then, sweet Jesus, we got to the issue of the black walnut trees. One was cut in such a way that it was permanently damaged and will likely have to be removed, thus costing my neighbors $17,000. The next tree was deemed to have lost enough lumber to be worth $4,000, and the final one $2,500.